Hey everyone, welcome to I Totally Love It. My name is Susan, and today we're working on hashtag a woodland steampunk spring week 4. Week 4, if you've been following along with this collaboration, which is hosted by Stacy at Crafty Dragon Creations and Karen from Creative Paper Artisan, then you've seen that we are using two other digital kits. Stacy's is called Steampunk Woodland, and Karen's is called Steampunk Forest. And first week we did our signatures, we built them up. Second week we did our embellishments and ephemera. The last video we did the cover for the journal, and today we're doing the binding. Now for you it's been a week, but for me it's the next day since I made this, and I just let it cure overnight, let everything dry really nice and good, and I've kind of creased those corners so it can stand now. So we're going to get to binding. So I'm going to do a 3-hole pamphlet stitch, but I'm going to try to make it a little unique from something I've done before. Every time I make a journal, I try to do something new that I haven't done. And so yeah, and I will say, when you have paper, whether it's scrapbook paper, copy paper, anything, but when you have to crease the corner, sometimes you get a little bit of cracking. You can always ink it up if you like, or you can just leave it there as part of the charm of the journal. So yeah, all right. I love how that turned out. So as far as the binding, the spine here is, like I said in the last video, like 3 1/4. So what I did was I saved, and I should have mentioned this in the last video, and I apologize for not doing that. I saved the other side of the box because it is the same size as the one that you're keeping intact here. And what I've done is I've cut it to size, so it's 9 inches tall. I wrote the word top at the top with pencil. And so what I did first was I found kind of the center and used inches. I'll tell you, I use inches and centimeters because sometimes, here in the States we use inches mostly, but sometimes it's comes out kind of hard to divide numbers. And so flip that ruler around and let's use the metric side because this was 8 millimeters across and that was much easier to figure out where to space my different signatures at. So I used my ruler and I measured up 1.5 inches from the bottom, 1.5 inches from the top, and it's 9 inches tall. So this is the 4.5-inch mark from top to bottom. So these are equal spacing here, and then from the top and bottom, they're equal spacing. Now you can completely eyeball your signatures. I do that sometimes when I'm just doing a single signature, but when you get into multi-signatures, you kind of need to have a plan. And you can also use graph paper. Graph paper is great because it's got all the lines already, and you just have to count. And anyways, so I've already taken my awl, and I have in our county, we have these little thin phone books that come out, and it's great for taking your awl and pushing through and having a nice surface. And it was free; it was in the mail. So I've done that, and now what I'm going to do is I went ahead and, like I said, pushed holes through the template here, but I haven't put them into the actual journal. So I need to do that, and then I need to make a template for my signatures because I need to be able to punch holes through those as well, and then have the holes ready to match with these holes. So I do need to make that template. And then I use embroidery floss for my binding, and I pulled out a selection that went well and asked my husband which one he thought, and he picked orange. So, which is great because it's something I haven't done. I think the orange looks great. It kind of stands out. I mean, you can have it where it's hidden if you don't want to see it, but why not make it a little different? And I used the whole I think these are what, like 6 strands. I use the whole thing, and I use a big, thick needle. It's got a big eye. It's easy to put them in, and you want something thick because you want to be able to go through cardboard and paper. So, and it's easier to hold too. This is a 2-inch long needle, if that helps you. And don't remember, it's, while it's kind of pokey, it's not like a sewing needle where it hurts. This is more of a rounded tip, I guess. So I wish I had more details like the specific name, but maybe it's like a tapestry type needle. But yeah, for those thicker threads like this. All right, so I'm gonna fast forward a little bit, play a little music, and I'm gonna punch holes in here, and then we'll get to making our template for the signatures. All right, so sit back, relax, enjoy a tune, and let's get cracking. Okay, so I'm making my template now for my signatures, and my journal is 9 inches tall, and so is this template. So I want it to be the same height, and on this particular piece of graph paper, there's a little, like maybe a quarter of a, little quarter of a piece down here of one of the squares. So if I actually start on that line, it ends on a line that's 9 inches. So I've cut that off. Now this is just paper from Walmart. Get you a pack. And I need to trim that little piece off, and so this will be 9 inches tall. And while I have the ruler out measuring that, I went ahead and measured where 4.5 inches. This is the top. This is 4.5 inches from the top and from the bottom. And I think earlier I said 1.5 inches from the top and bottom for the top and bottom holes, but it's actually 1.25 inch. So 1.25 inch. And this was 1.25 inch from here. All right, and so you take this and fold this in half, and you can make this bigger, like, wider, but it doesn't really need to be that wide. All right, and so I kind of put my marks kind of in the center near it. So this is where that top hole will be, bottom hole, and here. That's where it should be. Now, if I take this and I lined it up on there, put that hole in there, that line up. Let's see. I've never done this before. This is okay. So that test out there. Yep, see, that tested out good there. And I'm gonna be 3 for 3. Yep, great, perfect. Okay, so now I have my holes. Now you don't have to do that. Like I said, that's the first time I've ever tried that, and that worked. So my measurements are great. Yay! Okay, so my keep this out because I might need it. So now I have my holes. You can see them here on the back, and I need to get my thread ready. So the general rule of thumb is you want 2.5 times the length for each signature. So that would be 1, 2. Now I just go ahead and do 3 because that just makes it easier. Plus, if you want to have string hanging either from the center of your signature, or if you're, if you look at my March Junk Journal Madness Journal, I actually sewed the stitching in where the thread, like where the center tie would be, and the thread would, meet on the outside. So you can have a little dangle on the outside, or if you make it long enough, the string can be hanging out at the bottom of the journal, and you can put little charms down, hanging out the bottom if you like that, or at the top. But usually it'll gravity won't bring it down. Okay. So let me grab a signature here. Let's figure out what order we want to put these in. So I have this one, and I've got these right here, and I got one more. Where are you? Here. Okay. Now I do have quite a bit of ephemera in there, so hopefully it won't all fall out. But I'm gonna figure out which signature I want when I open the journal. So don't lose your thread. I mean, that looks cute, but I really love her at the front with that green. I don't know if I want an owl facing an owl, unless I was doing an owl journal. So I think I'm gonna go with her. And then at the back, go with the owl. That looks nice. All right, so we're gonna put the owl at the back. I think the blue with the green there. Okay. So what I do when I have multi-signature like this, let me get some tools out of my way here. I start with the last signature and work my way towards the front. I would recommend some binder clips. I have these. There's bigger ones. These are little small ones I picked up at Daiso, so that I don't think will hold what I need. But you're going to want to have your papers. Make sure they're all how you want them, because once you sew them, they're sewn in. So you want that kind of even from the top to the bottom. If you wanted something more towards the bottom, kind of like offsetting stuff. So some things may not end up in a hole. Okay, I don't think that's sufficient. All right, so you're going to want to put these on just, number one, keep your papers together. Keep them from sliding around. 2, it can hold the end of your string when you're trying to sew that in there. All right, I can pick up my needle. So a tip for threading your needle with embroidery thread, I just find one of those little natural bends that it had. And I just loop it. I hope you can see this. Just loop it and I stick it through there. That nice big hole. And that's so easy to thread as opposed to like a regular sewing needle. And yeah, that should get this whole signature in there. And like I said, you can have it where the end is held down there. Now, if I was doing a single signature, journal, you could clip that to the actual cover, but because these are kind of off from, they're not sitting in that crease in the fold, I don't want to do that. Okay, so I start in the, oh, we got to put our holes. I didn't do that. Oh, I know some of y'all are yelling at me, put your holes, Susan. All right, let me take my thread back out of this real quick. Okay, you put your holes. Yeah, okay, that's why we mark top, so you know where your top is. Because your journal is probably a little bit taller than your signature. And so you need to make it, I've made this mistake. I've made my template where it's as big as my signature. And then it got messed up trying to put it in my journal because my journal is slightly taller than signature. So kind of figure out, it's nice with a graph paper because I have a little square there and almost a little square there. So I'd make a slight adjustment. Okay, this is where having more clips is helpful. Okay, let's do this. And I'll talk you through this one, then I'm going to fast forward through the rest. Oh, we need to, I was about to do it. I almost did that. Okay, so we're going to take our awl. Awl is great. If you have an ice pick, that might be okay too, but it's longer. I think it's easier to hold something that's closer to where you're working. Okay, so this, now you can poke it down like this. You can buy you one of those little cradles, or I just hold it and stick it through. Just push and push and push. I wiggle it through. I'm going to flip this around because it's easier in my hand to have it closer to me. Always watch your fingers. Okay. And here's an important note because I've done this. Take the template off. Okay, so now the template's off. So let's get it sewn in our journal. Totally had to edit this video because I put my thread in without sewing it in my journal. So there you go. All right. So we're gonna put it in the middle here. We're gonna line it up here on that back row of holes. You're gonna need to watch the yarn so it doesn't catch hold of the corner of the journal. Pull it through. Some people hear sewing, they get a little intimidated by it, but it's not sewing like seamstress. All right. Pull it through. Okay, you're gonna go all the way down to that bottom hole. So center hole. And on the back, you're gonna pull up to the top hole, and then you're coming in at the top hole, and you're gonna go down through the bottom hole. Line it up. All right, and keep it tight. All right, so then you're going to want to come back in that middle hole, and you want to come in on the other side of that string there so that you can tie this. Pull it nice and tight before you tie it. And just a little square knot, so do that regular, and then do it in reverse. There you go. And then keep as much of this as you want. You know, I did mine a little bit longer. Okay. There we go. Take that off. Signature number 1 in there. Okay, so I'm gonna fast forward. I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna let you watch, but I make less mistakes when I'm not talking. So I'm gonna let you watch me put these in, and then we'll talk about it at the end. All right, so sit back, relax, enjoy some more tunes, and let's get cracking. right, you guys. I like how it turned out. I will say I did not do what I was going to do, but I'll tell you what I was going to do. So the back two signatures and then the front two, I was just going to have them cross over and then cross over, make little X's back here. That would have been fun and new for me, but I forgot to do it because I had got flustered when I sewed my signature without putting it in the journal. I was doing a great tutorial for you and everything, but that just kind of threw me off. So I like how it turned out. This thing can stand on its own. Looks great. I did leave the strings hanging because, you know, I'm going to finish it up. And then in week 5, we're going to do a little final flip through of the journal. So once you come back for that, when I have the rest of my ephemera put in and see what else has been added at the end there. But please go check out the link tree below. It has all 6 participants. It has Stacy from Crafty Dragon Creations. It has Karin from Creative Paper Artisan, Teri from Sweet Pea Papers. It has Santhini Creates, Tracy from Lottie's Magic Attic, and myself. And then hopefully you guys are participating as well. This particular week, there are not freebies. So if you missed the freebies from the first 3 weeks, go check out every creator's Facebook group to grab those freebies. So if you want the ones that I used, those are in my Facebook group. And those links are below. And go check them out. And go make sure you like everybody's video. Make sure you subscribe to everyone because Stacy and Karin are doing a drawing. It's got to be submitted by April 30th if you've done your project as well to get more points. So go check out all the videos. Go check out all the Facebook groups and Etsy shops to get the kit. It's a great kit. Kits, sorry, 2 kits. Steampunk Woodland and Steampunk Forest. And yeah, so come back next week for the final flip through. I can't wait to see everyone else's and what they came up with as well. All right, you guys. I'll see you in the next one. Until then, bye bye.